Hey guys, Bias Ramos, and today we are going to be talking some Miami Dolphins football. Obviously, they're opening up their home opener against the Buffalo Bills on September 20th, 1 o'clock p.m. Game's going to be on CBS. And man, oh man, I'm so excited. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be at the game. I'm going to be out of town. So the post game video is going to look a little funky. It's not going to have this background. And just not so much Dolphins stuff behind me, But yeah, let's get into this video. So the Dolphins obviously lost last week, and the Bills won last week. So as the records stand in the AFC East, Buffalo on top 1-0, New England 1-0, Jets 0-1, Dolphins 0-1, and it wasn't looking so good for the Dolphins last week. But it's the first game, no preseason, so all we had was really scrimmages to practice against one another, and so that it definitely takes a toll on the team. But we got to learn and develop better schemes, better just game plans, all that good stuff. So let's get into the Espn matchup predictor. We have a 65.3% chance of winning for the Buffalo Bills, Dolphins at 34.4% chance of winning, and the tie at 0.03. So the odds are obviously not in Dolphins' favor once again, but we have a lot more in favor for us this week compared to last week. But, I don't really believe all that stuff, but, I just like mentioning it because it's interesting to some of you guys to probably hear. So let's get into the betting odds. Buffalo is at a negative 5.5 spread, and the money line is minus 240 for the Bills, plus 200 for the Dolphins. Over-under is 41. And last week, the over-under was, I think, 42, and they were way below that. It was, was it 21-11? So they got to 40. So it wasn't way below, but it was right there. Actually, no, that's completely wrong. It was 32. My bad. I'm not good at math, obviously. This is why I cover sports. No, it's not even a good reason to do that. But let's talk more about the Buffalo Bills. I'm pretty sure most of you guys know a lot about the Dolphins, but we'll dive more into the Dolphins now. But let's talk about the Buffalo Bills and their injury report. So heading into this week, everyone is questionable. So I'm not going to say that, this one's questionable, this one's out, this one, stuff like that. So everyone's questionable, so not too much to worry about that. But Delshon Phillips, linebacker, Matt Milano, linebacker, Jerry Hughes, defensive end, Tremaine Edmonds, linebacker, and Isaiah McKenzie, wide receiver. And then for the Miami Dolphins, we have a Landon Roberts, linebacker, Clayton Fajeldam, safety. I'm always going to butcher his name, so I'm just going to say Clayton. All right? I hope you guys can understand. But I'll work on his last name. Xavier Howard, cornerback, Byron Jones, cornerback, and Devontae Parker, wide receiver. So everyone there listed on both teams is questionable. So it doesn't mean they're completely out, but they could be game time decisions. Unfortunately, last week, Devontae Parker aggravated his hamstring, and this was a reoccurring issue. It was hurting him a little bit in training camp, so Dolphins pulled him out in the second half, and he was still our receiving leader throughout the game. 4 receptions, 47 yards, but that is irrelevant when it comes to the outcome of the game. We should have still put up our best foot forward, and that wasn't the case. The Dolphins struggled to move the ball offensively. But the running game was a lot better than last year's at the beginning of the season, and that's with a preseason and preparing all that stuff. But, it is what it is. So last week, the Bills beat the Jets 27-17, and so I was going to go over the averages, but it's one game, so averages are not really anything right now. But Dolphins obviously lost last week 11-21. And without those 3 picks from Fitzpatrick, we might have won that game, honestly. 2 of them were kind of questionable, could have been called for PI. I'm not saying that they were PI, but, as a biased Dolphins fans, maybe I would say it was PI. But, it could go either way. But definitely, I think the last one was more of a pass interference than the one that Stephon Gilmore got. More like kind of Preston Williams kind of slipped in that one. But Mike Gesicki was, I got to say that one was definitely PI, honestly. But, it is what it is. And Fitz threw another pick, and that basically sealed the game for the Dolphins. Now, when it comes to what the yardage happened last week for the Bills and the Dolphins, The Bills averaged had 410 yards on offense, 312 passing, and 98 rushing. And the rushing leader was surprisingly Josh Allen, which is one of the points I'm going to be talking about in a bit on how the Dolphins could win. So stay tuned for that. But for the Dolphins, 278 yards of offense, 191 passing, and 87 rushing. So a lot better rushing for the Dolphins this season so far. Our backfield is quite running back by committee. So almost everyone got a touch of running the ball. The only one who didn't touch the ball running was Patrick Laird, but he did touch the ball receiving wise. So it was good to see the Dolphins utilizing all four of their running backs, which is awesome to see. And that's what they've been trying to do since the very beginning of this Flores stint as head coach for the Dolphins. Now, when it comes to defense, the Buffalo Bills limited the Jets to 52 yards rushing, which was shocking. But you got to also consider that Le'Veon Bell went out, and Frank Gore was pretty much a leading running back, which is pretty interesting. And they allowed also 215 yards passing. Meanwhile, Dolphins allowed 155 yards passing and 217 yards rushing, obviously led by Cam Newton. So Josh Allen led the Bills in rushing with 14 carries, 57 yards, and 1 touchdown. I don't expect him to be leading the Bills in rushing by the end of the season, but I expect Devin Singletary to have a better outing for the Bills throughout the season goes on, especially since he's on one of my fantasy teams. So, ball out, big guy. But not against the Dolphins. I put you on the bench this week. Anyways, AFC East standings after Week 1. Buffalo Bills and the Patriots are tied for first with 1-0. And then the Jets and the Dolphins are both 0-1, so they're at the bottom. So they're tied for third/fourth, whatever you want to say. But it's very interesting to see how this game could end up being. Now, I have high expectations for the Dolphins to probably win this game. This is a game that we could easily win. I'm not saying they're going to definitely win, but easily a game Dolphins could win. And, given the right opportunity and just the right game plan and all that good stuff, they should win this game. But you never know. Any given Sunday, Bills can beat us. We can beat the Bills. It goes either way for both teams. Now, so let's talk about how the Dolphins could win this game. Now, the Dolphins could easily win this game if they contain Josh Allen. Do not allow Josh Allen to get out of the pocket and beat you with his legs by extending plays, extending drives, and obviously all that factors into scoring. So if you let them extend the play, next thing you know, they're extending their drive, and then next thing you know, they're scoring either a field goal or a touchdown, So this is the things we want to limit and not allow. So, unfortunately being said, Dolphins were horrible in containing Cam Newton. Now, Cam Newton and Josh Allen, similar quarterbacks, not the same people. Cam Newton, I feel, is a lot better quarterback than Josh Allen so far in his career. Obviously, he's won an MVP. He's taken his team to the Super Bowl. He almost had an undefeated season. So, and more stacks on the top of each other. Obviously, he left the Panthers, he got released from the Panthers because of all his injury problems. So, that has been a concern, and we got to see how long Cam Newton can keep that up. But a young guy like Josh Allen, he's a little bit more not worn down as Cam Newton could be towards the end of the season. But, definitely got to contain him. That's what the defense, I promise you, that's what the defense is working on this week in practice, containing the quarterback. Because if we don't do that, we're not going to get a win. Plain and simple. Right? So, top priority, contain Josh Allen / stop the run. Now, 2, we have to make sure Stephon Diggs does not make an impact on this game. Stephon Diggs could easily break it loose for 1, 2, maybe even 3 touchdowns. And that's what we want to avoid. We don't want him, the number 1 wide receiver on the Bills, to be, burning us. And I believe with the secondary we could contain that. But, that has to be a point of emphasis for the Dolphins this week by containing Stephon Diggs, as limiting him to just short catches. He's going to have his catches, but he's going to have only short catches, nothing crazy, nothing busting the top off the defense. We cannot allow that because Josh Allen has a big arm, and he could unleash a big throw just like any other, big time quarterback like Patrick Mahomes, they're up there as one of those deep throwing QBs. They could do that. They have the arms for that. So we have to limit that. There's not much else for the defense besides those two things containing those two big guys. But the Bills do have other good receivers. They have Cole Beasley and they have John Brown. And John Brown is fast as hell. So you got to stop him from blowing the top off the defense as well. So the Buffalo Bills passing game is pretty solid. Not that much production. Obviously, he had 312 yards, so it wasn't bad. But he was playing the Jets as well. The Jets are honestly one of the worst teams in the NFL, and I wouldn't be surprised if they're in the bottom 5 this year. So I got to see that. But, 2 back-to-back AFC East games for both of these teams. And for the Dolphins, offensively, we need to get the running game going early. The running game was going kind of decent throughout the game, but it wasn't, we wouldn't pick up 3+ yards every other carry. It would be 1-2 yards, 3 yards occasionally. Like Jordan Howard had 7 yards per 8 carries. So like those type of plays cannot happen. We need to have big plays by our running backs. Like Myles Gaskin had a pretty good game against the Patriots, surprisingly. 9 carries for 40 yards. So if that trend continues and we keep having other running backs factoring into the Dolphins' success, that could be good. Because we have a backfield full of them. Jordan Howard, Matt Breida, Patrick Laird, Myles Gaskin. So those 4 guys are going to be key in the Dolphins' success offensively. If we can get those 4 guys going, or just 2 of them having great success, then it opens up the game for everybody. Devontae Parker, Preston Williams, Jakeem Grant, Matt Collins, Mike Gesicki. The list goes on and on. And one thing leads to another. They're all like gears spinning along. So if one gear is spinning, the other one's going to catch on and start spinning too, if you know what I mean. So that leads into the next one. Fitzpatrick needs to be more in control of his passes. Not, putting him... I know he likes to gamble a lot and put some risky balls into places, but we can't have that happen again this week. We can't have 3 interceptions this week. That is killing the offense. If we wouldn't have had those interceptions, and given we would have had a decent enough drive, the game would have been, like a 1-point game possibly at the worst, That would have been at least 9 points there at the very least. But it stalled out, and, we had success late, but it was too late because Patriots recovered the onside kick or something, and they... We were down 3 points because it was 11-14, and then they scored a touchdown because the defense, couldn't hold them up. But that's not the defense's fault; it's the offense's fault for, not having bad ball security and just letting turnovers happen. So it's very unfortunate. But yes, run the ball and secure the ball. Do not turn over the ball. We don't need those things happening. And then defensively, contain Josh Allen, contain Stephon Diggs, no deep balls, and same thing for John Brown. Do not let him blow the top off the defense. Now, that's about it when it comes to how the Dolphins can win this game. But like I said, if they don't do those things well, they could easily lose the game. So that's the thing we want to just keep an eye on. I'm going to be out of town this weekend. I'm going to be on the west side of the country. And but I will try to get a post-game video out now. Not out now, but obviously once the game is over. But I'm going to see if I can even watch it. If I don't watch it, I'm just going to tell you guys what I know from the stats, unfortunately. But we just have to play it how it goes and see what happens there. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. And if you did, make sure to leave a nice thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and click the post notification bell option. And if you haven't done it yet, follow me on Twitter and Instagram at @BiosRamos. And lastly, don't forget it. Fins up, baby.